Welcome to r/LegalAdvice, where we read surprisingly interesting stories that don't end in a cliffhanger, I promise. If you are new around here, please feel free to subscribe to join our awesome community, and without any further ado, let's dive right in. My neighbor has basically booby-trapped his front yard. What can I legally do about it? So, I live in a house in a South Florida suburb where the streets are wide enough to allow street parking legally for guests, as most houses only have a small driveway to fit a couple cars tops. This has never been an issue in the 3 years I have lived here, but lately my neighbor has gotten really obsessed about people driving up his lawn and scuffing his grass when they park, and this week decided to do something about it. His grass goes all the way to the street, and when people turn in to park, they sometimes drive maybe a foot onto his grass if they are really careless. I have always told my guests to park away from his house because I know how angry he gets about it and I don't want the hassle. However, said neighbor has now placed several rebar posts with the tops sharpened to tips right at the edge of his grass, and they are low enough in that they are hard to spot if you are driving by or unfamiliar with the street. I asked the neighbor about it when I was walking my dog, and he said if people are gonna be jerks and drive on his lawn, they deserve to get their tires punctured. I have to assume that there is no way this is legal, but what exactly can I do about it? Is this something I should call the city about, or is it a police matter? Edit: I've called the police non-emergency line from work, and they said they would send out someone to take a look and talk to the neighbor if need be. I will update when something happens. And someone in the comments said, call police non-emergency line and say this. Yes, my neighbor has put punji sticks made out of rebar in his yard for the purpose of injuring people and property who trespass. Your neighbor is also going to be 100% liable for any damage his idiocy causes to anyone's car or person. And by the way guys, I'm curious, has anyone ever punctured your tire on purpose? I only remember that way back in the past, when I was still in high school, some idiot student had made it his hobby to puncture the tires of the teachers. And now on to the update to the story from before. I got home last night and the posts were still there, so after walking my dog I called the police non-emergency line again, and they said they would send a car out early in the morning. I am working from home today, and sure enough, around 8 AM, a cop car pulled up to my neighbor's house. 2 officers stepped out and kicked around his front yard where the posts were before going up to knock on his door. There was about a 5-minute discussion where my neighbor looked quite agitated, could not hear what was said, but he came out with some gloves on and pulled all the posts out while the cops watched, and he seemed to be shouting at them. The officers took the posts, then one handed him something, not sure if a citation, pamphlet or something else, and drove away. Neighbor left for work in a huff about 30 minutes later. Not sure if it is the last thing the neighbor will try, but at least that hazard is gone. Thanks to everyone for the advice. Guys, what do you think about this story? Was the reaction of the neighbor justified, or do you think that he is a crazy idiot? Let me know in the comments. And if you have watched until here, please don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments, and also like the video if you want to support me. Thank you so much. The next one is titled, Found cash in my walls, it is mine, right? Can I deposit them in the bank and pay back my student loans? Washington. I inherited a house from my uncle 3 years ago, and by accident, trying to pass a cable there, I found a stack of cash hidden in the wall. I bought a stud finder and looked through all walls today and found about $100,000 in cash and a VHS cassette. They were all packaged in sealed very strong and thick plastic bags. I ordered a VHS player for my computer already to see what is on the tape. But my question is whether I can take this cash to my bank and deposit them without raising suspicion. Do I need to do that $10,000 at a time or all in one go? I want to use this to pay back my student loans, which are now about $65,000. I will use the rest to pay off my car and the rest for building an emergency fund. And user Fat Kids Fan Club in the comments said, talk to a lawyer, do not talk to your mother, father, siblings, neighbors, cousins, friends, co-workers, or anyone who is not your lawyer. And to me, that sounds exactly what you should do when you win the lottery. And by the way guys, what is the first thing that you would do if you won the lottery? Let me know in the comments. And the next one is the update to the cash story from before. I watched the VHS tape and it was of my uncle going on a 25-minute speech about government conspiracies and how banks cannot be trusted. That is why he kept his savings in cash. He did not even trust a safe deposit box, that's why they were kept in his vaults. And it was $120,000 as he said it in the video. I found the other $20,000. I went to a lawyer and showed her the will, the video, and she said it is surprisingly common for people to leave cash inheritances in our area. She talked to the executor of the will as well and then wrote a letter for me to give to the bank, which explained this is from a cash inheritance with contact details of the executor in case the bank needed to contact them. I scheduled an appointment with the bank. When I told them it is for a cash deposit, they told me I don't need an appointment for that, but I told them it is for a large deposit. They still said no appointment is necessary, but then I said it is a very large deposit. So they booked the appointment. Everything went smoothly at the bank. They made a copy of the letter that my lawyer had prepared. Money was in my account a few hours later. I made payments and my student loans and car loan are both paid off and I now have a larger emergency fund. That's actually an awesome, wholesome story, but I'm curious, what was the highest amount of money you guys have ever found by accident? If I remember correctly, back when I was a kid, I often drove my bicycle together with my mother in the summer, and one day, no joke, we found a backpack in the forest with around $150 in it. Obviously, we took that money for ourselves. Maybe in hindsight we should have given it to the forest ranger or something, but that was definitely the only occasion that ever happened to me. The next one is titled, My ex has a restraining order against me and now lives in the same apartment complex. My ex-wife and I had a rocky marriage. My alcoholism did not help. She pushed for a divorce, we lived together during this divorce, and one day I found out she was dating another man. I snapped and hit her pretty hard. I was charged with assault, spent 3 months in jail, went to anger management, and I was also issued a 3-year restraining order. This was 2 years ago. I have since sobered up, met a wonderful woman and moved to a completely different apartment complex in a completely different part of the city and never had any further contact with my ex-wife. I admit what I did was wrong, I paid the price, I have since re-established myself. My current woman, who I've been in a relationship with for 2 years, is aware of this background story, which makes things slightly easier. Well, unknown to me, my ex moved into my apartment complex about 5 months ago with her now new husband, who had always lived here. I did not know this. I saw her in the lobby just before New Year's. She greeted me, I turned shocked and said hello. She asked me what I was doing in the lobby. I said I was just coming in from work. She told me that the restraining order is still in effect and I need to move out. I tried to reason with her and told her I would be happy to steer clear of her. I know we don't live on the same floor. I don't even know what floor she lives on. I don't care to know. I told her if I saw her on an elevator, I would not get in and just wait for the next one. She told me she was going to enforce the restraining order against me. My partner and I literally just signed a brand new 2-year lease 6 months ago. We love the place we live in and would not want to move. And it feels unjust having to move/incur financial hardship because the person I had a restraining order against moved into my apartment complex. The reason why I am bringing this up is because last night building management was informed of the restraining order and told us we need to figure this out. Would she really be able to force me out of my home even though I lived here before her? As long as I do my best to avoid any contact with her, which I am perfectly fine doing, shouldn't that be sufficient? I work a really early schedule, and the fact is she was dating this guy and coming over to this apartment complex for the entire time I've been here, and we ran crossed paths, and she has been living here full time for 5 months, and just recently we crossed paths again. Not sure what to do. And Mr. MTest24 in the comments said, I'm not a criminal law attorney, but you have some good factors in your favor. You have abided by the order of protection for a long time, 2 years without incident. You have sobered up and been through counseling. Judges want to hear that stuff. The best practical advice I can give you is that you should take the lead here. Get an attorney and get yourself back in front of the judge. Tell the judge your story first. If you wait and she drags you into court, you may be viewed with suspicion because, as others have noted, you are technically in violation of the protection order right now. An attorney in your area will undoubtedly know more about what to ask for, but if you take the lead, the judge will probably be more sympathetic to your case. Ask for the time of the order to be shortened out of existence, or that the parameters be redefined so that you can live in the same complex, but that you agree to not have purposeful contact with her. Bottom line, get out in front of this. Guys, what is your opinion about this story so far? Let me know in the comments. And the next one is the update to the ex story from before. The public defender that represented me was no longer practicing in the New York City area, but I retained a lawyer who was a friend of a friend who had experience in this area. My lawyer got references from my PO, employer, and AA sponsor. Our goal was to get the restraining order modified to a simple no contact order with no distance requirements so I could continue living with my partner. I spoke to the judge, told him my story, what I had done to correct my past transgressions. He reviewed my record, we submitted our references. During this time period, I was crashing on a friend's couch as to not violate my prospective order. PO said I had paid my fines, followed all the rules and never once had to remind me of my restrictions and so forth, and said he was impressed with my turnaround. My employer said that I was always early, never seemed to be under the influence or hangover from anything, and even at our company functions was very open and honest about my sobriety and did not partake in drinking. My AA sponsor said good things about me too, how he was impressed with my maturity and openness on my alcoholism and addiction. Then the judge asked my ex-wife to speak. My ex-wife said she was shocked by my turnaround. She said that it seemed unfair for her to require me to move because she moved into my building unknowingly and that she no longer felt threatened by me. This was a shock to both my lawyer and I, as I expected my ex to want to keep the protective order in place. The judge said that he would not modify the protective order but lift it entirely as he felt it had served its purpose, and that based upon my references, my testimony and most importantly the testimony of my ex, that he did not see how keeping it in place was benefiting anymore. He did tell my ex that if she ever felt threatened or in danger because of something I said or did, she could contact the police. The judge then told me his main reason for lifting the order was to allow me to live in my current apartment, but advised it was a good idea to avoid contact with my ex to avoid any potential complications down the road. He reminded me because of my past it would not take much to get another protective order put in place. I told the judge I had no intention of talking/contacting to my ex, and I was thrilled that I don't have to move and get to stay with my current girlfriend. So, over the course of this weekend, I moved back into my apartment with my girlfriend. I am glad this was resolved. And guys, unfortunately we have reached the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed today's content, and if you still like r/LegalAdvice, please let me know in the comments. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I see you again tomorrow.